A few years ago I reviewed the movie A Street Cat Named Bob, the true story of James Bowen, who overcame addiction and got his life back on track thanks to his furry friend Bob. I gave that movie a positive review at the time, and I'm very glad that I did because, unbeknownst to me, it turns out that James Bowen was actually a fan of my work and saw that review and enjoyed it, which must have been incredibly surreal for him, seeing someone whose work you've been watching for years now suddenly reviewing a film about your life. This Christmas, the team behind the film are back with a festive sequel, A Christmas Gift from Bob, which sees Luke Treadaway reprise his role as Bowen, recalling the time how he and Bob, with some help from the community, managed to get through a tough Christmas together. Last November I was lucky enough to be invited by James to the set of the movie at Twickenham Studios to see some scenes being filmed and see actor-turned-director Charles Martin Smith at work, and it's not every day that you get to briefly meet a member of the Untouchables. Whilst I was there I managed to get some interviews with cast and crew on what was a very lively press day, so do excuse any audio issues. So how long have you known James?
We were just looking at our diaries actually. It'll be 9 years the first week of December, so wow. 9 years. Met in on a very, very cold December's day. Actually, it was in that winter of 2010, a very, very cold day. They wouldn't let us take Bob into any coffee shop, so we sat outside cradling cups of tea, blowing on our hands, and just got chatting.
Yeah, it's amazing how my story has touched so many people's lives and affected so many people and brought so many people together. I mean, the support groups and things, like there are the Bobites, the fan clubs.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you've seen what it's like online following Bob. It's quite incredible, isn't it?
Ask any writer, their sort of dream is to have their book translated into TV or film. When the film was made, the mere fact it was made, for me was I think I speak for James as well, was just a fantastic experience, a fantastic bonus. As somebody who worked on film sets as a journalist for years, to find myself on my own film set was a pretty cool experience. Yeah, we were really pleased the way it done, and then obviously we had a world premiere here, which was an extraordinary thing. But then this time last year we discovered that it had taken off in China.
In Christmas just gone, Christmas 2018, it's Christmas 2019 now, it was released in China, and it went straight to number 3. Wow. And for a British independent film to, make it so high in China is incredible. So we had a bit of funding come from over there, and Adam Ralston, the producers, managed to get it together in 1 year, bringing in Charles Martin Smith of all people to direct it, and it's very different but familiar experience being back here.
And that ultimately has been the catalyst, excuse the pun, for this. For a second time around.
They've got a great team behind it. It's nice to have Luke come back and play me again, because I think it would have been strange if we had someone else.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what's it like having someone play you in a film about you?
It's bizarre. I mean, I think it's degrees of separation for me, because there's the story, there's what I lived, there's what I told to Gary, there's what Gary wrote, there's what the editor made, there's what Adam's screenwriter read, who then gave it to Roger, who then got Luke to play it, so I've kind of got those many degrees of separation from the original situation, but I mean,
got like a multiverse essentially.
It's like the Bob multiverse.
I asked Gary Jenkins, who wrote the screenplay for both movie adaptations, about the challenges of adapting James's story from book to film.
This film, A Gift from Bob, is kind of a blending together of two of the books, the two latter books that James and I wrote together. So A Gift from Bob and The Little Book of Bob, which is the most recent book we did, which is kind of a compendium of wisdom that James kind of gathered on the streets with Bob. The key thing is, whilst those books work very well on the page as books to be read, there are elements which may not have translated so well visually to the screen. So my first job was to kind of work out what would stay and what would go in visual terms, but also there's a kind of storytelling dynamic that's kind of heightened in film. So it was visuals and structure to begin with, but retaining obviously the essence of the Bob story, the elements that people seem to have loved about the books and the first film as well. You need to be hitting those notes again. It doesn't need to be massively different in that sense. Well, in fact, it can't be different in that sense.
The character B who's been put into this, she's kind of based on a few people in my lives who were there to support me in hard times.
So I play B Chan, who's kind of London Chinese. She grew up in foster care, so she kind of has seen James's side of, you know, the city, and it's not as hospitable to all. But yeah, no, she's one of James's, I think, good friends, and they've known each other about 10 months, something like that.
When he's being very down about things, she's trying to cheer him up until, you know, a reverse thing happens with her, and then it's his turn to help her.
She kind of came from that rougher upbringing as well, so she's kind of transitioning out of that in a similar way that I think James is beginning to, which is I think what draws them to each other as well, is that she really kind of wants to help him stand on his 2 feet, and she has that quality about her. That's why she's working at the project to help.
Bob himself appears in the film along with an array of specially trained doubles, and I even got to very briefly meet him during my visit. Sadly, earlier this year, during the film's post-production, Bob passed away, and the film is dedicated to him in tribute. As you would expect, there was plenty of animal action on set.
I mean, it's a different experience this time because, like, last time Bob was called in at the last minute, whereas this time he's been on the call sheet from day one. I think there's a lot more Bob-centric scenes in this one. As the last film, it was a very different story. It was more about, you know, battling with drug addiction and trying to get my life back on track, whereas this one's about sort of like people coming together to overcome adversities and things like that. The script, which Gary has written, has just been really, really touching, and I can't wait to see the finished result.
Are you a big cat person?
I am a huge cat person. Oh my god. I used to have a cat when I lived in Finland, where I was born. But yeah, I wish I could have a cat.
What's it like seeing Bob act on screen as well?
Well, I mean, like, obviously I'm behind the camera a lot of the time, you know, tapping cans or, you know, trying to make monkey noises to get his attention or things like that. But he's very stoic, is Bob, you know, so he's going to be used for all the close-ups. Obviously, when we go out onto locations, he'll be riding on Luke's shoulders or sitting by Luke's feet like last time, because the other cats we learnt last time were not happy doing that. So they could do all the stunt work, but their faces looked terrified just sitting there with lots of people around them. They'd stay on their mark.
Wouldn't be the right tone.
So this time, you know, obviously we've got it all laid out for Bob to be able to do it, so it's going to be so much happier sort of all round, and I think that's going to come across on the screen, and Bob just looks amazing every time he's on a picture. I mean, 9,000 copies of books say it, don't they?
He's a very photogenic cat.
He is, yeah.
So it must be great being on set with Bob and working, or the Bobs, plural, because of course we got the doubles.
The Bob doubles, yes.
The army of Bobs.
They all have such different personalities as well. It's incredible. Like today was very calm, and then on Monday was a bit grumpy. But
I mean, that's the great thing about cats, is they're so independent.
Exactly.
So,
they don't need us to make them feel good. They know exactly what they want.
It's ultimately a buddy movie, but it's kind of a love story as well. James and Bob's story from the beginning was always a great story of, you know, two broken souls healing each other. You know, the power of togetherness. You know, two are stronger than one, or however you want to characterize it. And it sort of that dynamic works really well in a Christmas context. And then, you know, the fact that they did go through some tough Christmases together, and this is based, as I said, on the last Christmas they had in the street. You know, I think it's got all the ingredients really you kind of want in a Christmas film.
Naturally, being a Christmas film, I asked my interviewees what they felt were the perfect ingredients for creating a potential festive favourite.
Christmas is about sort of community and family, extended family, about togetherness and kind of a sense of belonging and self-worth and all those sort of things, but wrapped up in the cutest sort of parcel you can visually assemble.
Christmas is definitely about people coming together, and I think, you know, obviously you've got to have that winter atmosphere in it as well, you know.
Hope. In the end, like, there has to be hope in a Christmas film. There has to be that light at the end of the tunnel, because Christmas is all about warmth and light and all of that and togetherness. But hope, I think. There's hope for everyone.
Yeah, I mean, those themes of healing and bringing people together and revelation and redemption, you know, putting your life in context. Because it's the time of the year when you kind of stop and have a bit of time to yourself and you think about where your life is, you know, and in relation, you know, both inwardly and outwardly, you know, where you are in the world, where you are in your life. And, you know, it's just, again, hopefully that's something that this film does.
Like when this came into my inbox, I was like, whoa, I didn't think about ever being in a Christmas film, but here I am.
Suddenly it all makes sense.
And suddenly it all makes sense.
But there was one question that always seemed to catch people a little bit off guard in a way that I didn't expect. What would you say is your favourite Christmas movie, in fact?
Ooh.
That's a difficult question.
That turned out to be surprisingly hard.
My favourite Christmas movie.
I do have a sneaking admiration for Bad Santa.
To put a combination of two in here.
Exactly. Not that I'm suggesting we've given it that sort of edge.
I mean, one of mine's Die Hard.
Die Hard, yes, okay. Well,
If we consider that, though, is that the question? Is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
Die Hard, the first two Die Hards are Christmas movies.
I know.
So, yeah, I mean, Die Hard 2 definitely was a Christmas movie, so we could call it that, yeah.
The original Miracle on 54th Street, I think, is a great film. I've got a soft spot for Elf.
I did always like Macaulay Culkin being a psychopath, but...
I would say Home Alone. Home Alone is probably one of my earliest Christmas favourites.
I think Home Alone is definitely a good one, just because it's, you know, when you watch it as an adult, you realise how it is.
I think the first Harry Potter film always, like, it has some of that hopefulness, I think.
Yeah.
That a Christmas, like, I would watch that film. Because it has those beautiful colours, the beautiful warmth, and the kind of someone who's very young and only like experiencing Christmas for the first time. Actually, it is a Christmas. There it is.
That's a really good answer.
I didn't expect that.
That wasn't how I expected. We've learned something.
It's like, oh my god, he's never had a Christmas present before.
Mind blown. Yeah.
I'm hoping this will go down and be a Christmas classic.
Yeah. Thank you again to James and the team for their kind invite, and A Christmas Gift from Bob will be available to rent from UK VOD services from November 6th. And let me be the first to wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays. I'm Matthew Buck, fading out.